What are you having a?
November red.
No, November brown. Let me have a look.
Blue.
November blue.
Yes.
Yeah, look. There you go. There's a special gift from me. A nice big red one.
Thank you.
Representing the red. I am here with the wonderful, the amazing, the skinhead Frank Smith. Not Frank Warren, because you know I'm at a Frank Warren show, but I'm with Frank Smith. How are you?
Good. It's getting a bit long though, the skinhead. To be honest. Nah, I can't go through that stage of looking like a bush. So I just haven't got it cut in time.
Yeah, so I'm glad I'm off camera because my bush is getting wild. I cut mine down short and now it's growing back a bit crazy. But let's talk about why you're here. Shabbaz Masoud going up against Liam Davis, the headline. Once again, we get Matchroom and Queensberry working in harmony. Talk to us, Frank.
Yeah, look, a brilliant fight. You know, two great fighters coming together. A fight that people, you know, wanted for a long time, and it's great to see it happen. It just shows how good the relationship is that we're making these types of fights. You know, obviously it's been very public about what brought us together, you know, the Riyadh season relationship, but we're seeing the benefits of it now, you know, with fights happening, you know, whether it's on our shows, Queensberry shows, whatever it is, it's about making great fights, and tonight is one of those. I believe Shabaz is going to go and do the business, but it's a tough fight.
Yeah, it definitely is a tough fight, and I think because of the actual real needle, you know, when they say that, oh, there's a needle, this one's personal. They've had amateur fights where obviously Liam's come up short. I think there's been some suggestion about messages being sent at press conferences. How are these fighters going to keep their cool and make sure they go in there to do what they want to do, or it filters out and it becomes this, I don't know, egotistical grudge match?
100%, that's what they need to do. They need to take out that emotion. You know, we've seen so many fights in the past that's a grudge match, and they go in there with this emotion, this pent-up aggression, and they go and have a tear-up. You know, but I think they're two professional guys. They know what they need to do. Like you say, there's been the amateur side, there's been the build-up. It's also been delayed. This was supposed to happen in July, which always adds a bit to that, you know, that build-up, that emotion between the two of them. But it's going to be a great fight. I believe, like I say, Shabaz is going to go in there. He knows what he needs to do. He knows the fighter he's in against in Liam Davis. Liam's been on a great run as well. You know, and that's why people have sort of deemed him to be the favourite going into this fight based on previous performances. But Shabaz is going to go in there and deliver. Yeah,
we talk about favourites, but then you can't be too complacent because obviously everyone's got their eye on the one that they think's going to do the business, and you know what it's like. This is world level. There can be upsets.
100%. Look, it's a 50-50 fight, and that's why people are intrigued. You know, and that's what we need to make more of. Forget about wins, loss, and draws. You know, this is about great fights, people tuning in for great fights, and building your future. If you're in a great fight, if you're in an entertaining fight, there's opportunities for you in the future. Now, we've seen that with many fighters of recent times. So, you know, he can't take his eye off the ball. But I believe when Shabaz is in there with someone of a higher level, you know, look, I think the San Martin fight he wasn't really into it. He'd had a bit of a delay, obviously, 4 or 5 week delay. He pulled out on the day of the fight in Liverpool, then we rescheduled it. But I think he knows what he's up against here.
Would you say that it's a must-win fight for him? Because I remember obviously the various conversations I've had with Matchroom, yourself and Ed, and it's like, I get it, you know, some fighters lose, but it's how they lose. You talk about investing a lot of money in the fighters and seldom do you get that return. Would you say, based on that, is it a must-win for Shabaz?
Yeah, like, I think I'm quite open about, like, I think boxing needs to change in a sense of if you lose, you're finished. I think it's the way the fight, you know, it's the fight itself. If it's an amazing fight, if you go out there and give it your everything, there's so many more opportunities for you. If you go out and bore people and it's a crap fight and you lose, it's a tougher comeback. Just be, you know, that's in any fight. Take this out of it. So I think, you know, every fighter's got the pressure of losing. It's because it slows down the process. That's the reality of it. But if you go in there and deliver a great performance, there's going to be opportunities for you regardless.
What I wanted to ask as well, Frank, I did speak to Eddie lightly about it, just skimmed over it, and I was speaking about the volume of shows coming in from Matchroom, because at the moment, I think it's fair to say that Queensberry are literally delivering the UK shows. They're putting on shows practically every month, if not every other month. And I feel sometimes as if Matchroom's sort of like, you're global, I get it, you've got the American shows, there's one next week. But sometimes I feel like you guys are neglecting the UK. Are we going to see like any difference, any changes? I know you've got the new signing with, is it Bevan?
Taylor Bevan.
Taylor Bevan that you've just signed. What can we expect from Matchroom in 2025? Like that, the UK shows that we really look forward to going to?
No, I think we're planning 16 shows next year. I think it's all about the narrative though as well. People, like we should have had August 26th was Jack Catterall Regis Prograde. That then got rescheduled, so then that knocked everything back. September 28th should have been Dalton Smith. We did that show, so it's like
Not back. Yeah.
it's like we haven't had an ideal run. I'll be honest with you. And we would have had August, September, October would have been some other show, So, but I think now you see October 26th, great night, Jack Catterall, Regis Prograde. November 30th, you've got Sonny Edwards against Galalia Fire back in this same arena. Tickets are flying for that one. So, we're on the path and we know what we need to do. The UK will always be a market that we love and are passionate about. It's not we're taking our eye off the ball. Boxing is in a place right now with the Riyadh season shows. There's a lot of fighters being on those shows. You had the Wembley event as well on September 21st. So you're trying to work around all of these things and ensure you're delivering great shows amongst the spread of the fighters as well.
When you talk about great shows, I was speaking to a couple of fighters, just like personally offline. And I think sometimes, and the British public, we're very, very critical. We moan a lot. We do. We're passionate about the sport, but sometimes I find it quite insulting of us, the fans, when we slate cards and we say this is a crap card. You've got fighters on there that are earning a living, trying their best, believe in themselves, and then sometimes they're getting so much stick and knockback. Like, sometimes I think, imagine if I was a fighter on a card and then all the comments that I'm seeing is, this is a rubbish card, except for the headline. I mean, it's dealing with that kind of like demon, like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't put shows on. Where's your shows? You put shows on. That's not good enough. And it's like, where do we find this happy medium with the British fans? And I can say that because I'm a fan myself.
I don't think there'll ever be a happy medium. I've got to be honest with you. It's a bit like when people say, this person lost, they're finished. And it's like, wait a minute, you wanted a real fight, they went in a real fight, they lost, yes, and they'll come back. Like the mentality is never going to change. That is people's mentality. You're always fighting against it. You want to put on great nights. A bit like Oscar saying, Matchroom's fighters lose. Yeah, because they're in real fights. We're not going to sugarcoat, we're not going to build this career for them where we're not growing the sport. The fans want to see real fights. That's the reality of it. And it means you're not always going to win. And you need to build fighters at the same time. So it's all part of the process. But it's always battling against that interaction from really the social world of what people want, and that's something we have to deal with.
I want your thoughts as well, because Frank Warren's got the Magnificent Seven coming up in London, and one of the fighters on there is your ex-fighter, Lawrence Okolie, a fighter that has literally been with the three promoters now. He's had relationships with all three of you. Experience, I mean, it's not something that would have happened a lot in the past, but obviously I think that's something that can happen now because there's so many promoters. How do you think this third run of his is going to be? He's been a world champion at cruiserweight, world champion at bridgerweight, and now obviously he's stepping up to heavyweight. Your experience, how do you see that career going?
It's a hard division, isn't it? We all know that. I hope he does all the best. As much as we had our times in the past, I wish him all the best. I wish him all the best on whatever he chooses to do next. But, where he is, he's probably going to have to jump straight into tough fights after this one, and get straight back in there. I wish him all the best.
How do you see that going when, like you said, it's a stacked division? Frank Warren has got the heavyweight, so it's literally which one do you want to fight? A steep learning curve coming, or do you think that he can actually do it?
Look, from what I know with Lawrence, he's been in there with a lot of the great heavyweights sparring over the years, and he's done very well. But as we know, sparring and professional fighting is two very different things. He did well. I think the competition at Bridgerweight wasn't really what he's going to be up against. In truth, just being open with you, in what he's going to face in heavyweight. But like I say, I wish him all the best in his next steps.
When we talk about obviously fights, another thing that's obviously at the back of our minds is obviously Anthony Joshua. It was literally, he's going to go back in for the rematch, and some of us are thinking, maybe should he go for that? As we do, we think, should you go straight back in? He's a guy that goes straight back in. He gave us his happy, clappy speech that, I'm fine, everything's fine. And then as time's gone on, the weeks have gone on, it's sort of like, well, actually, he's injured, he's possibly not going to have that, he's not going to have enough time to get ready. Frank, if the fans, and I always like to look at it from a fan's point of view, would say all fighters have injuries, most of them don't go in 100%. is this just a delay to say, you know what, he's not quite ready to go back in there with Daniel Dubois yet?
But I think at the stage of his career he's at, I get that. He's never, look at the guy, he's never made excuses over the years of being in the professional boxing. When he fought against Andy Ruiz, then he went straight back in there. Same again in the Usyk fight. Different stages of his career. Right now, this fight, whatever he does next, is going to be the defining moment, really, in terms of his career, in a sense of, does he carry on? If he was to go in and lose, it would be very likely he'd retire after that, is the truth. Whether that's right or wrong, I'm just being, and he needs to be 100% going into this fight. So if he's not 100%, he's not going to be ready for a date that's there, then rightly so. But it's different stages of his career. I'm not saying he's never been into a fight with niggles or, issues, but this is the point of his career where he needs to make 100% the right decision based on being 100% in the fight.
And I think that's sometimes what we don't understand is part of a promoter's job and the team's job is to actually protect their fighters as well. I think some people say, oh, you're babying him, but at the end of the day, like you said, if you want to get the best result and what is best for him, sometimes you have to just hold back a little bit and give them that extra time.
For sure, but AJ in particular is not a person that's been I'd say when you look back to like when he fought Dillian Whyte and then he went and fought for the world title and then he went against Klitschko, Taka, all these fights, Joseph Parker, Usyk, like he's never been held back. He's never been like, just wait, vacate the belt because it doesn't make sense right now. He's taken every challenge. So he's not that kind of individual. But when you look at it now, like I say, this is the defining moment where if he goes into a fight now and he doesn't win, it's hard. It's probably a harder road back. And if he doesn't win because he's not 100% or he's not ready, if he goes in there with no excuses, fair enough, But he's not the kind of person to make excuses. And I think it's key. That's our job, like you say, as well, to say, right, you're not going to be ready for here. You need to be, and the team around him, he's got a great team around him who say, right, this is when you're going to be ready for. Don't rush just because of that. There's big fights to be made in the heavyweight division. So many big names. Look, the natural one is the Fury fight, regardless of the result in December as well.
Yeah, do you think that would happen? Do you think?
I believe it will happen. Yeah, I just think it's too big of a fight not to happen.
Because sometimes, like I said, the Deontay Wilder one at some point was the fight that we all wanted to see.
We were so close.
And yeah, I get it. And so many times as well, it wasn't just once. And then it was almost like it was written in. We were getting that after he fought in Ngannou. And then obviously everything just went to, excuse my French, but rat shit with Deontay Wilder. And it's like, how do we now, is that even still a fight? Is there any appetite for that fight whatsoever? Is that a fight he could take before he potentially fights Daniel Dubois again, or obviously Tyson Fury?
Look, I think all of these fights are of interest to people. People are going to tune in. If AJ fought Deontay Wilder now, people are going to buy it. Yeah. It's been history. There's been the back and forth. Is it later than people expected? Yeah, if that fight was to happen. But people would still buy into it. The same when I say about Fury. AJ and Fury, regardless of results, is still probably one of the biggest fights in the sport. So it's about history between two people that's bigger than anything else.
We absolutely love it. Frank, what heavyweights? I'm going to keep asking you the same thing. Heavyweights? Are you signing any heavyweights?
Yes.
When can we get an announcement?
Soon.
Like when
soon.
Like soon. Is soon.
Soon.
This coming week or
between now and 4 weeks and 6 weeks and 8 weeks is soon.
Really?
To me, soon is like in the impending couple of months.
Impending couple of months.
Yes.
And potentially, could that fighter be on a 5v5 part 2?
Anyone could be on there.
I'm trying to narrow it down.
No. I'm the wrong person for narrowing it down, though,
Yeah, but I'm going to try it anyway. But listen, Frank, always a pleasure.
Lovely to chat.
I'll see you in Birmingham, I guess.
See you there.
Yeah.
People say I'm toxic, and honestly, I don't care.